The Philadelphia Phillies continue to be connected to White Sox pitcher Garrett Crochet, as well as a couple other notable arms around the league. But as they seek to upgrade their arms, it does bring the question if fan favorite Ranger Suarez could find himself on the way out of the organization. We're going to break down exactly why this is the case and what it could mean for this Phillies team. I'm going to start off with the initial kind of projection from John Stolnis, who we've referenced his work a little bit on this channel before. He tweeted out last night that two players I 100% believe are getting traded this offseason by Dombrowski. Number one, Alec Bohm. Number two, Ranger Suarez. Two young players with lots of trade value who are also disappointing and limiting in some way. Now, we've talked plenty about the Alec Bohm outlook, talked about some of the options who they could looking, the Alex Bregmans of the world that they could be potentially seeking to upgrade from. I don't see the selling point as much with Ranger Suarez. I've been a Ranger guy, and I understand I'm a little bit impartial here. But, Luke, talk me through it. Why is the case that I want to move on from Ranger?
Yeah, I also kind of want to hit the first quote. Can you do you have that quote? Can you pull that back up again? I want to figure out when the disappointing part of Ranger was, because the back half of that season was injury, and he freaking battled in the playoffs.
Yeah,
That's a story for another day. Yeah, this one's really tough. I love Ranger Suarez to death. The dude's a monster. He every time he goes out there in the playoffs, he just gives you everything he has.
Yeah.
And it is a bit of a tough situation because if the Phillies were to go after a guy like Garrett Crochet, it seems sort of like Ranger would kind of be on the outside looking in. There's Wheeler, Nola at the top. They just gave Sanchez some 4-year deal, and he's now here till I believe 2029. And then you would get a guy like Crochet. So that's 4 guys. And then really it depends on where Andrew Painter's at. Because I don't think the Phillies want to give Ranger some extension when they know that Andrew Painter's here, and that would be a battle for the quote unquote 5th spot. I don't think they should trade Ranger. I think Ranger has won, and I mean this is pretty obvious. He's earned his stay. He's earned his extension. He's been probably the best playoff pitcher, I would say, based off of stats on this roster over the last 3 years. Absolutely. There's obviously an argument between him and Wheeler, but both of those guys have been unbelievable. I just don't know. I don't see the Crochet thing. I think there's some injury worry there, and I think that, and then 2, I think that package is going to be really big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's very clear they're trying to just set up a straight bidding war for can they get the most for Crochet. That's the White Sox outlook, and we get it. They were one of the historically worst teams of all time last year from what we saw from them. Now, the Ranger Suarez conversation, like, I am very much a ride or die guy with Ranger from the standpoint of I just trust that dude. That even with the Nola and the Wheelers of the world, that you know what you get as far as arm talent, there's this willingness to just bear down and battle that Ranger has that I just respect so much, and he gets the job done. Even in that that last game of the playoffs that he pitched in, man, like he didn't even necessarily have his best stuff, but he just fought, scrapped, battled, and did his job for this team. So I have a ton of respect for a guy like that. I think from the Phillies, from an organizational standpoint, they're viewing this a little bit at this could be a potential high point of the Ranger Suarez stock, that this was at the start of the season. He had Cy Young-like stuff for the first half of the season. Then obviously there were those injury concerns. Looked like he had a bit of a dead arm, kind of fought through. But my takeaway is, you know what? He still did just good enough when he was asked of it in the playoffs. And when you look at it like his full-out playoff stats, we're talking like historic stuff for the numbers that he stacks up against. So it's pretty absurd stuff there. I just kind of would push back against that notion that I think, like, if this is who Ranger Suarez is, sign me up for that. That I'm okay with that. I'm not mad about that. So I'm not in a rush to get rid of these guys, but I don't know. Do you feel differently about that?
No, I feel the exact same. If you can assume that Andrew Painter is going to be in the top 3 of this rotation once he's in and ready, I mean, that's saying your 4 and 5 is going to be Sanchez and Ranger. Like that's awesome. Gross.
Yeah.
That's gross. That's the thing. I just don't get it. Like I think he's an awesome arm, Crochet. I think there will be a team that will bring a bigger package. I think the Phillies could bring a big package if they wanted to. But I don't think they're going to be like ready to throw everything at this guy. And rightfully so, they shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are built to not have to trade for Crochet. I don't think this is like a dire need for them to get some huge starter in the trade market. But I think there's going to be some teams that definitely can offer. I think a team maybe like the Dodgers will definitely be in the mix. They have the prospects. Dodgers seem like they can just go get whoever they want.
Feels like it.
A team, maybe even like the Mets, something like that. But there are going to be teams that can bring this sort of package. And I don't think the Phillies are going to be like pushing to get rid of Ranger at all.
Yeah, and so he's heading into the last year of his contract, which is where I think a lot of this conversation has started or has been forced on the table with that, like, as you mentioned, that they know their future with the Aaron Nola and Zack Wheeler, and that they did make an effort to sign up Christopher Sanchez. I guess my question from here is, how confident can you truly be about Andrew Painter being ready to step into that caliber of expectations? That we really have not seen this guy pitch at, the major league level yet. He's had the Tommy John issue, and even like, I can't be won over by stats in the Arizona Fall League just yet. So
I mean that's completely fair. But at the same time, I don't think you can fill your rotation up knowing that he's very close. Because you get to a situation where he comes up and he looks awesome. Then what? Are you going to have Christopher Sanchez not start? You're going to have Ranger Suarez not start? Like, I don't think there's a need right now for them to have 6 really good under contract starters. I just don't think it makes sense. I think if you can keep Ranger till the end of his deal, if Ranger pitches really well again this year, then you can give him an extension. I think the plan over trading a lot for Crochet should be rolling with Wheeler, Nola, Ranger, Sanchez, finding a 5th starter in the free agent market, and then waiting for Painter.
All right, so to push back a little bit on there, for starters, I don't believe you can have too much pitching. I'm not a believer.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't either. But I don't think you can put
best use of money.
Yeah, like you can put that money somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And I think you have to be strategic with how you do it, because like I don't see a reason right now and I get it. There's people who are like, prospects don't matter until they show it in the majors. And I completely understand that. But I don't see the purpose right now. And if they were to get rid of Ranger, it would be for probably Crochet. I don't think they would deal Ranger in any other deal. So if you did that, then you would have Crochet, and then it would be Painter in the 5. So it would sort of be the same situation. Mm-hmm. But I don't know right now it would be a better arm, I would say. But I don't know. I don't know how much better of an arm it is to give up that much. That's my thing.
And I think, to be honest, this often gets used as like a negative against guys, and I think it's wrong. It's like Ranger, you can, worst case, pitch out of the bullpen. Like, we've seen him do that, and he can be very successful. You can use him in a variety of ways. Like, obviously, you don't want to commit a ton of money to this style of pitcher, but what if Ranger becomes the emergency starter? That is a bullpen pitcher that when things are going south at the start of a game, it's Ranger. All of a sudden, it's your day, brother. Step on the mound and give us 4 innings.
That could be the case. I wouldn't be incredibly mad about that. If Ranger's on this team, I want him to start. That's my thing. Sure. I want him to be a starter. I don't want him to be a guy I see every 4 days. If like just out of the pen. If he's here, I want him to be in the rotation.
My final wrap-up thought on this is we watched Tyler Phillips pitch for this team last year. We watched Taijuan Walker pitch way too many baseball games for this team that they had to try everything to an extent. So I just think a little bit premature to rush to get rid of them. I think there has to be some like concrete steps in place. And there's like, for everything I love about Ranger, my sense is Crochet is just not that guy. And obviously, like, I've never had any sort of interaction or watched him that up close. So outside of, I will admit I did not flip on very many White Sox games this year.
I didn't either. Don't worry.
But some of the quotes that like I see from him about not wanting to get out of his routine and sticking in the starting lineup just doesn't, or as a starting pitcher, he just doesn't strike me as the most team friendly guy, which is everything that Ranger is. So I don't know. I'm just in a rush. I'm not in a rush to interrupt the type of chemistry. So I'm pretty hesitant on this overall.
Yeah, I definitely would say I am too. I would lean my ideal for the rotation right now is to is to leave your top 4. Then you go find a 5, even maybe a 6. Go find 2 guys that can sort of battle it out. Somehow trade Taijuan Walker.
That'd be great.
And then just be ready for Andrew Painter. That's kind of where I'm at. Because if he looks how he's looked so far in his career, we're going to have another really good arm in this rotation.
Yeah, and we definitely hope that is the case there. But let's hear from you guys below. Do you have a better plan for the rotation than what our very own Luke Arcaini came up with right there? Let it rip below. As always, appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in. Make sure you smash that subscribe button and drop a like on this video if you have not already. Me and Luke will be back breaking everything else going down this offseason. Peace.